Thank you for choosing our Patio Heat channel. I'm Steve. We provide tips and information to extend the enjoyment of your patio project. Our videos give you a knowledgeable overview prior to investing in your outdoor heating equipment. Whether you are a professional or owner-builder, we provide specific details for optimum heat coverage for your application. Post a comment or question, or for developed visual designs, send your request into designs@patioheat.com. We're here to work with you. For over 30 years, patio heating is the bedrock of our business, expressing what works best. Now let's get heating. All right, so here we have this log cabin deck, and let's go ahead and look at the overall dimensions that I have. So the dimensions I have is 32 feet by about 11 and a half feet. And we have different heights, but the main height that we have here is 12 feet 11 to the bottom edge of this beam coming across here. Also, I have the outer edges of this section here to here at 17 feet, and we don't have the true slope, but it's not going to be that important based on what we're really looking to do on this particular project. So let's go ahead and turn that off and look at what options we have. So I actually spoke with this client, and the main area that they really want to heat up is this area right here, as well as possibly this area over here on the left. Another thing that they're looking at is not seeing the heater itself as much as the view, because this is just a beautiful view that they have here in this property. So that's another thing that we're going to take a look at, as well as the fact that this goes into a very, very cold climate. So there was an inquiry about that cold issue, and we'll talk about that here as well in just a minute. First of all, let's look at what possibilities we have. So I'm going to look at placing one 5200 watt unit here. I have that centered within the patio structure itself, mounted on the bottom of this beam going across here. Also, I have it 12 inches off center to the right here, from this point here to this point here. And the reason for that is because this is the main seating area right here, and we want to make sure that we're heating up that space here properly. Let's go ahead and look at the well, first of all, we'll look at the clearances below the heater. So below the heater, we need to make sure that we have 18 inches of clearance from this point here to any combustible surfaces, and that should be fine with what I have here. Another thing too is we did use the drop down mount, and we had to customize that drop down mount, cutting some of the top portion of this. So if you looked at how this drop mount actually works, this piece here will slide up and down, and if I was to move it all the way down here, you can see how that bracket actually looks. And I had to cut off a large portion of this top piece here. So let's go ahead and put that back where it was. And so in any case, that would be something that you need to consider, is utilizing this. This isn't a high wind area, and I would definitely use something that's very sturdy for structural strength for the heater when it's in its high wind area. So let's go ahead and turn off that clearance below, and now we'll go ahead and look at the footprint of heat. So footprint of heat, you can see here we have it at, I believe, 10 feet off the finished floor. Let's go ahead and check that real quick, and we'll go right up to here, and so yeah, about 10 feet off the finished floor. I have it actually 10 foot 1/2 inch, and I'll tell you why I have that in just a minute. Go ahead and turn that off, and that 1/2 inch isn't going to be critical, and I'll show you again why I have it like that. But in any case, you can see that the kind of a high seating area is something that you're going to be standing. It's like the standing model I have here. I have this model at 6 foot 2 inches high, and you can see that if you're sitting here in this position here, you're going to be at a higher elevation as far as the intensity of the ray itself. So the intensity of the ray as it comes down, it's really designed for a lower seating position. And so you probably want either a control panel where you can dim this down, or at least a duplex switch. Duplex switches would only make the unit go on 50% or 100%. And I have that switch located right around here somewhere, coming up through the deck itself. But in any case, something just to note that, sitting higher makes it so that the intensity is just a little bit stronger at times. But those cold seasons, you probably want it 100% on. So it's something that you really want to consider. Do you want to use a control panel, or do you want to use a duplex switch? I would say the duplex switch, majority of times at half power, probably isn't enough. So I would probably go with a control if that was my choice. All right, so let's go ahead and turn that ray off and look at a different option. And the different option is, would they really use this space here for other options? And so what I did is place the unit here in the center again, using the same kind of bracket. And then I utilized this heater. This is a 5200 watt unit as well, making sure that I'm meeting the clearances above the unit using the OEM brackets mounted like this. That would be sufficient for meeting the clearance here. And just to note, I think I have it at 9.5 feet from center point of the heater here to the center point of the heater here. And let's go ahead and see what that actually looks like. You can see that I actually have it at 9'5" and 1/4 inch. Now you can move this unit slightly based on what the true dimension of this beam here is truly like. So if you were to move it, down a little bit further, let's just go with, a couple more inches here, and you can see that we're still meeting the clearances. The distance here, 9'7" now. It's not important for this view or demonstration, and you'll see that in just a minute. But we also again want to make sure that we're meeting the clearances below the heater. We want to make sure that the heater itself is below this beam here. So you can see this is the clearance below the heater, 18 inches on all four sides, 36 inches down below the heater itself. So something just to keep in mind when you're making the decision on placing what units you want in your application. This is pointed straight down to the ground, and so is this. And let's go ahead and look at the footprint of heat. You can see, and this is why I was speaking, that you can actually move this a few inches left and right, or rather left here. You don't want to get too close to this beam here. You want to make sure you have that clearance still. But you have plenty of overlapping rays over here, and the heaters are at the same elevation as far as the height's concerned based on this slope. And that's why I have that 1/2 inch difference. But in any case, you can see that we are now covering the whole left side and center position of this application. We're not concentrating on the outer edge over here as much. Like I said before, that's why we're 12 inches off center from the heater center point to the center point of the structure. We're off to the right slightly, so that we're making sure that we're hitting the inside edge over here appropriately. So but yeah, this would be a very good application, and I hope this decision is going to be made that they want either the 1 or 2 units. I have no issue with that. But to get better coverage, it would be something like this. And I should also just point out how this visually would look from the inside. Again, talking about the viewpoint of this application. So you're not really seeing this heater unless you're really looking up and towards the top here. This one over here, again, you would see it from here. But personally, I would say that most people would be looking out into the environment here, based on the beautiful view that they have, so they're not going to be concentrating on the top of the unit itself. And then I'll just state this lastly, is this that, if this is going to be occupied in any way and you decide down the road to put this additional unit in, it would be more beneficial to do it at the very beginning, because you can bring all your power into the main control panel here, and then up to the unit itself, or at least bring in all the power here for 2 units and then make that decision down the road. But once you bring the power here, you'd have to run another power up in order to get a second unit to go. So just something to think about. But yeah, this would be a very good application. I like this very much. And this is also a very good application for just 1 unit as well. Just to seat in this area here. The footprint is roughly about 10 by 10 in this configuration with this model here. So, all right, I hope this has helped. If you're looking for some assistance with your outdoor heating application and you would like us to review your plans, send your information into designs@patioheat.com. I'm Steve, and please tap that like button, subscribe to our channel. We try to help everyone, and the more people that we have subscribe really helps us to get our information out to others that are looking for assistance as well. Thank you very much. Have an excellent day.